All I need is your love to come and fill this heart of mine.
Think hippies are just a thing of the past? They're not. Meet singer-songwriter Shawn McDonald.
But that same thing, I used their lifestyle to justify mine. They say you can't physically be addicted to marijuana, but I think I was at least mentally addicted because I couldn't stop.
Shawn was a modern-day hippie whose only ambition in life was to get high.
Picture me, I'm out on the streets, and I was dealing every day. That's what I did from almost morning to night. I was really wrapped up in the rave scene and doing a lot of ecstasy and staying up for a week at a time. I was hoping that somehow these things, these highs that I was getting would eventually fulfill me or take me to the place that, you know, like life is right.
Up until this point, life had been far from right for Shawn. His parents abandoned him as a baby, and even though his grandparents adopted him, Shawn still felt something was missing.
One of the main questions was just, you know, whether or not I was lovable. I always felt like there was something wrong with me because my parents chose not to raise me, and my confusion and my hurt eventually just turned into just anger and bitterness.
Shawn grew numb to his parents, his grandparents, and with the help of a little marijuana, to his pain.
I was looking for purpose. You know, I was looking for love. I was looking for anything that would fill me in those times, and that's why I was doing all the drugs and partying all the time, and because I was finding some sense of, it was like a menial satisfaction. And eventually in there, I started getting spiritual too.
You name it, Shawn tried it. Witchcraft, Hinduism, yoga meditation, and even Rastafarianism.
I was really into Bob Marley. I really was into his way of thinking, and I thought it was cool that he could smoke weed and speak of God and do his own thing. I really embraced that.
There was only one problem.
I can't really say it did anything for me. You know, I can't say that for everybody, but for me, it didn't do anything.
So Shawn kept living the hippie life, and when a friend in his college quad invited him to church, he declined. He'd been exposed to Christianity before.
It seemed like people just believed in it to make him feel better. You know, it didn't seem like it was real.
That is, until Shawn had an unexpected encounter of his own. It happened right after his second drug bust. He'd just been let out on bail.
I kind of was like, God, you know, if you're real, if you're out there, then say something, speak to me, show up, do something.
Shawn pulled out the Bible his grandmother had given him years before.
I stuck my finger in and started to read, and the scripture I was reading was talking about cleaning the demons out of my house. And it just, for the first time, like all I could think of was the drugs or my demons. And this scared me enough to where I was like, you know, I'm gonna listen. I'm gonna get rid of everything, and so I did.
Shawn emptied his house of drugs, and 2 days later, the police showed up with a search warrant. Of course, they found nothing.
That was when I realized that something bigger was happening here.
So Shawn took his friend up on his offer to go to church and let Jesus Christ take control of his life. What he got in return was more than he bargained for.
It was like a pure high. I can't explain it, like, other than like his presence, you know, like was in my body, and this just satisfaction and peace that I'd never experienced before, to the point where all of a sudden I didn't desire all that other stuff. That was when I said no more drugs, no more of this lifestyle, and dropped everything and started running the other direction.
Things didn't change overnight. Shawn still had to spend 1 month in jail, and since his housemate was dealing drugs, he faced daily temptations at home. Shawn's only solution was to move in with a Christian friend who helped steer him in the right direction. After this, Shawn's drug days were completely over, and everything in his life turned around. His praying grandmother can vouch for that.
He's like a different person. I don't know how to tell you except that it's from bad to good. And nobody will ever convince me God doesn't do things in people's lives.
Shawn's rage was replaced with love, kindness, and compassion, qualities that show up in Shawn's songs.
someone else.
With a voice like that, you'd think Shawn's been making music for years. That's not so. Before his encounter with Christ, Shawn never picked up a guitar, but his passion took him far. And today, Shawn McDonald is a top Christian recording artist. Shawn just got married and is learning about God's love in a brand new way. He says he's also learning about his great need for God's mercy.
When it comes to, I'm not worthy of mercy, you know, like I'm worthy of death. And yet God, for some reason, you know, invests his life into us and decides that he would bestow mercy upon us, you know, and teach us what true life really is. And I know that the more that I walk in his truth, the more that I walk in him, the more freedom that I experience.